Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this particular call. This is Ask Us Anything. The five authors of the book, Wellness, Wellbeing through Food and Discipline, are here today. The whole idea is to kind of talk you through our experiences about what Chaturmasa is all about, and what benefits have we seen individually, and are we excited to do it or not? So it's a very short call, and the format that we have chosen to do is that each one of us will take 2 minutes each to talk about what we have gained out of Chaturmasa, and then it's open for Q&A for the next 20 minutes. So you can ask us anything about this. Whether you have read the book, you got the book or not, it doesn't really matter to us. So let me just start off with by introducing myself. This is Rajesh here, and I have been doing Chaturmasa for the last maybe 5 years. And if you ask me, would I continue to do this this year and coming years and years going forward? Answer is an emphatic yes. And the reason is very, very simple. Chaturmasa is not a religious concept. It is a way of us getting into nature, getting into tune with nature. Think about it this way. Our body is like an aeroplane, and the aeroplane needs need to go from point A to point B. And when we go from point A to point B, either we can use the tailwind and go faster, or we struggle with headwinds. So Chaturmasa is one of those concepts which kind of gets you the tailwinds behind us by aligning ourselves with the changing natural cycles that happen in this universe. So there are a couple of cycles that happen in this universe, and all of us can observe that. The first one is the daily cycle. The intensity of the solar energy goes on from zero to high, and then it goes back again, and then it goes off into the night, and then there's a cycle. We can all observe that. The second is the monthly cycles, the lunar cycles that you see, the waxing and waning of the moon. And the third one is the annual cycles, and this is where I think most of us miss this: the seasonal changes that happen. So the whole idea is, how does one get in tune with nature as the seasons change once in a year? So the period between mid-July to mid-November, roughly 4-month period, if you would notice, has a lot of seasonal changes. And because of the seasonal changes, there's a lot of disruption into the food chain, in the quality of the food that comes out from the universe to us. Now, the whole idea of Chaturmasa, Chatur means 4, Masa means months. The whole idea of Chaturmasa is, how can we attune ourselves to this changing nature? And that's exactly what our scriptures talk about, and that's exactly what we've been practicing. It's not that we have all the answers, but as practitioners, we can share with you what we think is worked for us, why it worked for us, what's our view. Maybe we are wrong, but definitely we will share with that. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to request Ajay to share his thoughts, and then we go round robin.
Thanks, Rajesh. I'm Ajay, and last year, thanks to Rajesh and some of my other Chaturmasa colleagues, was my first year of Chaturmasa. I have to confess that I started quite tentatively and not knowing what I was getting into. But my experience over 5 months was wonderful, and I thought I'd share some 3 or 4 key points that I took away from my experience last year. So the first thing I wanted to kind of mention was that it is not a fast. A lot of people think it's a fast where you can't eat for 4 months. How am I going to survive? All that sort of thought that kind of crosses your mind. It is actually about disciplined eating. You can eat enough, not unlimited, of course, but you can eat a lot of good food. It's all about discipline. It is about eating sattvic food twice a day, so you don't snack. You try and sort of eat fruits if you feel hungry. You don't have preserved foods. You don't have stale food. You don't have tamasic food, which includes onion, garlics, meats, etc. But you eat enough for you to enjoy the fruits of nature, if you will. Also, coupled with Chaturmasa is what is called the Ekadashi fast, which happens every fortnight, which is really the 11th day of the waxing and waning of the moon. And the way it works is that twice a month, you are fasting, which effectively works as a very effective detox. And and that's something that a lot of people do anyways. So it's a very nice combination of eating good food and then giving your body a break, every couple of weeks. I think, why did I get into Chaturmasa? There is obviously a whole time-tested Vedic philosophy, and Rajesh described some of it as to why Chaturmasa is done. But to me, it was very simple. I wanted to get healthy. I wanted to lose weight. We all have a sedentary lifestyle. I certainly did, and it was a challenge for me to get fit beyond a point from just exercising. And so I said, why don't I try Chaturmasa as an option? And I'll come to the effect it had. The third point I want to make is that it is not about, a lot of people think you can eat sattvic food, which is generally unappetizing. It is not fun to eat. Bland food is how you kind of think about sattvic food. Not at all. I mean, as a group, we discovered so many wonderful recipes, so many tasty recipes. We shared a lot of pictures. We really discovered the joy of sattvic eating. So I can assure anyone who's looking to do Chaturmasa that do not worry about food. You will kind of have a number of options and you're going to enjoy all of them. Finally, did it help me? Absolutely, it did. I mean, I certainly felt more energetic. I lost 7 kilos of weight, which I think was something that I could not have dreamt of. My immunity improved, and a couple of my chronic sort of ailments felt better. So I think there was definitely a tangible benefit. But the most interesting part of this Chaturmasa was that as a group, we did it together and we had a hell of a lot of fun. So that to me is a very, very good reason to do this. And Chaturmasa 2021 is coming up on the 20th of June, 20th of July rather, with the Ekadashi fast. And I'm looking forward to doing it this year as well.
Thank you, Ajay. Mahesh?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mahesh, and I participated in this Chaturmasa mainly because of two reasons. One is I was leading a sedentary lifestyle. And second thing is I wanted to see what exactly this Chaturmasa is. Will it really give me any benefit, or I mean, just eating sattvic food, will it help us or not? So, I mean, it's just a curiosity. A curiosity led me to understanding deeper what Chaturmasa is all about. And slowly as I progressed, the immediate result which happened was two things. One was my chronic back pain and left calf muscle. I mean, I had this for a long time, and I'm slowly, I started seeing that it's slowly diminishing, and even today, it is not there. I mean, such is the effect of eating sattvic food. I didn't know this before. I mean, we used to use a lot of onion and garlic and other things over there, but with this 4-5 months which we didn't use, so I mean, I believe now that this eating good food will keep you physically fit as well as mentally fit. Now today, even as on today, I enjoy coffee, but at the same time, if it is not there, not there, no problem. So I mean, the mental willpower is also increased tremendously with eating such good food. Physically fit, mentally fit, and more than that, we have a clarity of thought. What we want to do. In this particular thing, what we want to achieve. Like Ajay said, he wanted to lose weight, and he did it. I mean, and it happens. I mean, it sometimes feels like average. I mean, it is, we are taking care of the mind, but the effect is seen on the body. So it is like that. And moreover, it is almost 6 months since the Chaturmasa is over. And even today, it acts like a jab, a vaccine. So even today, if I want to overindulge, it reminds me, oh no, don't do this. So I mean, it's a. I mean, even today when I open my refrigerator to take stale food, it reminds me, no, don't do this. These are the effects. These are the benefits which you had, and you may lose this benefits if you do it again, But that control over not doing or not eating a stale food or a processed food, which is bad for health, is clearly or vividly visible when you do this Chaturmasa. And I would look forward to do this again in coming, I think, starting in 24 months. And I also recommend others to join this group. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Mahesh. VP?
Thanks, Rajesh. Hello, folks. My name is VP. I did the first time last year, thanks to Rajesh. And as Ajay said, it was a wonderful experience. The objective were two. One was, I thought, okay, this is something where we are going to eat less, because normally we eat 3 times a day and we are supposed to eat only twice a day. So that will hopefully allow me to shed few kilos, which I did. Lost about 10.
VP, we are losing you. You want to go off video?
Sorry, I think I lost the connection there. So I was saying that I lost about 10 kgs. And my second motivation was that all of us have been studying spiritual texts. And what I had picked up from that, you have to have a receptive body and mind. So I thought this will probably help me further along on that particular path as well. And the third, or I would say the 2A, was that I wanted to also test my willpower, because I was a tea addict. I would have 6 cups of tea every day. And Rajesh and the rest of the group helped me get rid of that. And it took about a month. But it was a fabulous experience to realize that, yes, I can live without tea. And I haven't had a cup of tea since then. And I don't feel a need for it. So now that whole notion that my day won't start until I have had 2 cups of tea. So that habit has completely gone away. So there are definitely lots and lots of benefits that come to you from the health-wise, as well as you realize that, at least I realize that certain things you do, you can get rid of those bad habits. And after Chaturmasa, I have continued for most part to eat sattvic food twice a month, and therefore it has been a continuous journey. But I have to say that I'm really looking forward to starting next month, because doing it by yourself is not as much fun as doing it with the group and sharing ideas and sharing recipes. So really excited about starting next month.
Thank you, VP. Vivek?
Thank you and welcome. I mean, I was introduced to Chaturmasa at a time when I was actually questioning my relationship with food, which had been very, very sort of overindulgent orientated, and it was very revealing. I learned a lot about myself, about the world around me, and how and it's helped me reframe my association with food. I will approach it a little bit differently in that, I fell off the wagon halfway through. What I really enjoyed the most were the, bi-weekly fasts, which I didn't think I had it in me, but I could do it. So that was also a revelation as to what you cannot do. From my main learning was around, as I say, in this stage of life, I look at things in terms of building awareness, creating habits, and then propagating or influencing others to follow the same. And that is where this whole experience of going through Chaturmasa with this group of amazing old friends it was very revealing. I think the essence of the awareness is that actually it's liberating to know that you don't need to eat, 3 times a day. You don't need to eat, a certain amount of protein and a veg and stuff like that. Those rigidities that we built around food is not essential. harmony with nature, eating in sync with what nature has to provide best is another great learning from this experience. And then in terms of habits, I approached it ki chalte dekhte kya hoga. If it happens, happens. If it doesn't happen, doesn't happen. But I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on myself to achieve something. It's great to see rock stars and sports people achieve, score that goal or hit that ball in a proper manner. But I don't see myself in that league over here. So even taking little bits and pieces of it is going to be very useful. And then, of course, the influencing side is what we're doing here. And Rajesh led writing the book. There are contributions from all 5 of us. And hopefully you all enjoy it. I would encourage anybody of all ages, shapes, sizes, backgrounds, thought processes to give it a shot. It is probably one of the best things we can adopt. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we want to open it up to quick Q&A. So ask us anything, and to the best of our abilities, we'll answer your questions.
So we should have planted a few questions actually amongst our friends. Alpna and Anupama, I'm sure you'll have something to ask.
I can ask one. My question is, Chaturmasa traditionally would have started, say, in the subcontinent, where at this point in time, there is a seasonal change, like, when we talk about it. How does one connect or make it relevant in other parts of the world, say in another hemisphere or in some other part where the seasonal changes aren't as distinct or as what Chaturmasa in the subcontinent where it actually originated?
Yeah, I'll take that question. It's a great question, Anupama. I've struggled to understand whether this works in different parts of the world based on the geographical locations compared to where, let's say, the subcontinent or much closer to the equator, where you can see this changing season, let's say once in every 2 months, and there are 6 seasons that you can see. But what I have noticed is that, the very fact that the 5 of us here on this particular call who did Chaturmasa last year live in 4 different continents, right? And all of us have experienced similar kind of benefits in terms of physical as well as mental benefits. So maybe we don't know the real answers in terms of how it acts on us, and whether it is more applicable or not applicable in other hemispheres. We don't have all the answers, but do we know whether the results are going to happen to people who participate from outside of this particular equatorial region belt that we talk about? I think we have some reasonably good answers. The answer seems to be yes at this point of time. That's one thing. The second thing is that I also see is that, think about the food chains. The food chains are disrupted today. We don't get tropical food all the time. For example, in the US where I live, we get mangoes even in December or in January. I don't understand how. So, if mangoes were considered, let's say, a tropical fruit, a summer fruit, then is it okay to eat mangoes at that point of time? I don't know. So what I'm trying to say is that the food chains seem to have artificially changed itself, and thanks to all the changes, economic changes that has been happening around us, and also it seems to me that if you step back and say, okay, hey, let me go back to the first principles. What does this mean, and what can I practice what it means to the best of my abilities, irrespective of where I am, to see if I'm going to be benefited or not? Then I feel that you will be able to experience that there are benefits that are going to be really accruing to yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you for that answer. It's just that I've been curious to see what the rationale is. For me, it was about local food, seasonal food, source it, and then, all the other aspects, don't eat stale food. It's a bit of mind over, eat with your, actually when you want to eat, or, those kind of things. So thank you.
Satya, you have a question.
Yeah, so, congratulations to all of you, and you guys have suitably impressed as well as influenced me to join this year. I really look forward to that. One question though, this is also a period, this 4 months is also a period where, at least in the, Indian subcontinent, you have a lot of festivals, Janmashtami or Dashara, Diwali and all. So how do you manage during those days? I mean, do you take off, or how do you manage to break it and not feel guilty during that time?
Great question. Anyone of you want to answer?
Well, I'll take the guilt bit. Yes, I did break rules, right, big time, and it depends on the attitude you bring to this. I mean, if doing everything, following everything to the letter, the last letter of the rules is important to you, then of course you'll feel guilty. But his attitude is that you're actually learning something new, enjoying something along the way, then it doesn't really matter. We've got a lot of, you can keep trying year after year. I mean, Rajesh has been doing this for 5 years. This is the first time most of us have done it. Next year will be better.
If you can add to that, Satya, I mean, last year we had all the same festivals. In fact, it went longer for 5 months, so there were probably more in between. But frankly, I did not feel at any point that I had to break the rules, if you will, during a festival, because it doesn't stop you from eating sattvic food, which is what you typically would have for these festivals. You have a month where you don't have milk products, so you can't have milk sweets in that period. Otherwise, you can have milk sweets during Diwali because you're free to eat, to consume dairy. But more importantly, I think the way I thought about it, and I would continue to sort of do that in future, is it's almost about making your own rules. I mean, as long as you're broadly within the same sort of, guidelines around Chaturmasa, there is no rule that you cannot do A, B, C, D. You make your own rules, stay within the broad framework, and you're okay. So don't sort of stress about those things yet. Just go through the experience and you will find a way out.
Thank you.
Mahesh and VP, you want to add to that question, or should we move to the next question?
Yeah, no, I would just say that I agree with what Ajay said, that we went through the festivals and birthdays and whatnot in the family. And on certain occasions, we just permitted ourselves to say that, okay, I'm going to give it a pause and join the family to celebrate, my son's birthday, for example. And that was okay because you consciously made that choice. And I think that's what you learn in the process, that you can pause it and then come back and, get on with the program.
All right, looks like Girija has a question. Girija?
Hi, Rajesh. Hi, everyone. Firstly, congratulations, Rajesh. I read your book and I'm very impressed. And so congratulations to all of you. My question for everybody who did Chaturmas, except for VP, it's not, the question doesn't, VP, you're not supposed to answer this. I just want to find out, how did your spouses take this? Because this is a pretty regimented diet. So I definitely have my views on it, number one. And my second question is not related to Chaturmas, but otherwise also, is that, onion and garlic are supposed to be medicinal. So why give it up, and why live it up forever? Because I can understand you doing it, as a part of a group and you want to do it. So why give that up? And also, I mean, when you're answering the first question, I just want to know, did you guys get very dogmatic about it, because I used to feel really bad for VP because he couldn't eat so many things. And it was, there was like kind of like a guilt saying everybody at the table is enjoying food, and look at this poor guy, he's only eating this and that also, he's not eating most of the stuff. So I just want to know how your spouses took it. Thanks.
Who wants to go first?
So I think if I can kind of come in here, I think you definitely need the support of your spouse, or you need to have systems within your household to deal with the fact that often in my house, for example, my children have a different requirement for food, and my parents, and then I kind of added to that burden. So you definitely need to sort of bring your spouse or your support system on site if you have to attempt Chaturmasa, because it does kind of take some effort on that front. Absolutely.
I can share my perspective. It's been about several years now that I've been doing this. Without my wife's support, it's impossible for me to do this. Same thing like what Ajay was expressing. There are going to be multiple, priorities of food, what the family will have. And one of the things what I figured was that we need not be as strict as what we would want to be by going by the letter of what it says, right? So for in my job, for example, I'm a sales guy and I travel quite a bit. Not in the last year, but in general I travel. So when I travel, it's impossible for me to find the food that matches what I'm supposed to be doing at that point of time for the Chaturmasa. So I relax all the rules to the extent that I can take those kind of food and kind of be okay with that. So I have taken onions, I have taken garlic when I did not have a choice, for example. But at home during this Chaturmasa, thanks to my wife, she actually prepares food. For example, let's say that she makes rajma chawal. One day, she actually makes rajma without onion garlic for me, and then she mixes the onion and garlic for the rest of the family. So that's an adjustment what they will have to make. And what is the good news? What has happened for me is that my wife has now become more understanding to what's been happening. Now, if she can't convert me, she has become converted now. So going forward, she's making the same food for both of us, and then it works that way. So I don't know if I answered the question. Probably that's what it is.
Yeah, let me also add, in this, initially we also had different cooking, one for them, one for wife, and one for me. And slowly when they also like to taste the food which is prepared to us, and they found this also interesting, over a period of time, the shift was, the mind shift was slowly towards the sattvic food for the entire family rather. At one point, they gave up onions and garlic and started cooking the sattvic food as what has been prescribed. So, I mean, on top of that, they also realized new dishes. I think Ajay posted some Jain dishes, if I'm not wrong. I mean, we tried that as well. I mean, and it came out very well. And kids and wife both enjoyed rather, including the Jain food preparing during this time. So I think, I don't think so using onion and garlic is the only way to cook. You can find different types of cooking. And also, just to add on to it, I found different types of milk, like groundnut milk, coconut milk, badam milk, and so many milks I used to take. I enjoy those milks as well. Completely avoiding cow's milk, here is opportunity to actually taste, a higher taste rather, that is what we look at it. I think so. My family also slowly joined me later in this. And this year, I believe my wife is also doing. Let me see how she progresses in that.
And Girija, to answer to your second part of your question, onion and garlic are, yes, medicinal, no doubt about it. But then what happens is that when you go through this regimen, you will realize that, the medicinal aspect of it is has a little bit of myopic view, because the body, as what the Western science defines, is the body that we all see and all that. But whereas in the Eastern science, the body is made up of not just the physical part of it, but also the mental part of it, and the subtler part of our body, the mind, the intellect, and the emotions, and all those things. Now, the holistic science says that if you take certain types of food, it impacts certain types of emotions in us. For example, it is said that if we start eating more onion and garlic, then we become more agitated. And we could try that ourselves, try it at home. Let's say that 3-4 days we continuously keep eating, and we may end up having a lot of distractions, and an urge to do something or the other without a purpose or with a purpose, and you can see those effects. And then you to complete the story, you can reverse it, stop it completely, and see how your mindset changes. So it's an experiment what you'll have to do. So we did that experiment. It worked for us. And, it worked better than medicine, because now it was not just taking care of the physical part of it. It was taking care of your complete holistic, physical plus mental plus emotional part of it. So there you go. So I see one more question. Alpana, you raised your hand.
Yeah, no, congratulations, everyone. I think you guys are inspirational. I think I joined it midway and did a bit of it, not fully. So I did not lose any weight, in fact, gained weight, because I found something to eat in each of whatever was allowed. And I could eat a lot more without guilt, thinking that, this is allowed, so I can do it. So, and I probably squeezed all the 3-4 meals I was having in those 2 meals. So the weight part didn't work for me. What I wanted to know is, so probably, the way we did, there was a lot of focus on food, and it was all around food, even though, some of you did share your goals and there were spiritual goals. But are you guys thinking of doing something differently this year, rather than so much focus on the food part?
If I may start off, actually, Alpan, of course, I mean, you're one of the leaders of the Gita study group that we have amongst ourselves as well. I think we were able to focus just on food in this the Chaturmasa session, because we had that spiritual side going in the Gita discussion. Otherwise, and that was the benefit of doing this in this particular group. Had we not had that, then I think, if somebody is doing it on their own, for example, then indeed, and I'll go, VP should probably talk about, because he had some spectacular, he had a list and he kind of nailed most of it from what I remember. So he was like, Federer smashing a ball around a Wimbledon court or something like that, in that regard. So it's not for everybody to be able to add so many things around there. So that's what I think we had, by default, we had a spiritual sort of safety net, which was already very, very well operational, and didn't need to bring it into this so much. But VP, share your experience of having set and met and surpassed all those goals.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Alpna, that the focus was not on food. And from my perspective, it was because we were doing it for the first time. So, in the first month when you're supposed to not eat any vegetables, to just the idea that you cannot have any vegetable in itself was very, very Herculean notion to deal with mentally. So yes, I think this year, I'm hoping, we'll see how it goes, that the focus on the food will be less, because I think the repertoire and the choices have gone up significantly. And at least, we know what we eat. I already have a list of breakfast items that one can eat during these 4 months. And there is enough that if you eat those things every 7 days, you're covered, and you can start, on a cycle. So I think you're right that at least I'm thinking this year there should be less focus on food, but we'll see how it goes.
And that's why, Alpana, when we wrote the book, we titled it as Wellbeing Through Food and Discipline. So the title is Through Food. It's not, focus on food at all. Srinivas?
Hey, good to see you all. I have a question, right? I know I did last year for a few months, with you guys, and it was a great experience. I'm looking forward to doing it again this year. I'm just curious, in general, right? Like you have more willpower, or actually, let's say if I look at throughout the day, right? Even now, I eat. I'm probably, not snacking and things like that until like later part of the day, right? And I'm pretty good on what I eat until like 5-6 p.m. and after that, I started giving in. On some days, I started snacking, or even like if I'm eating ice cream, most likely that's going to happen after 8-9 or something, right? So I was just wondering, two things, right? How do you any strategies, like how do you avoid or control those? And also second, sometimes I wonder why did I get that thought? Some days I get a thought like, okay, I want to eat an ice cream, but I don't get that every day. Just wondering, how do you control or kind of to some extent, right, not get those things in your mind? Once you get that, you some days you fight it, some days you give in and okay, you say it's okay, right? So just wondering, any thoughts on that?
Totally okay.
It's actually Vivek is right. It is totally okay to give in to cravings as long as it's not very frequent. Let me kind of caveat it. So yeah, having snacking every evening or every night is not a great idea. But an occasional snacking, giving into an ice cream or having a dessert is all legitimate. I think it's hard. I have to say that as well, because I am very much prone to cravings post dinner. And you try different things which work for you. So for example, for me, just brushing your teeth earlier than usual. So normally I would do it before I sleep, but I would then do it an hour after dinner so that, my palate is clean perhaps, and that would help me sort of, overcome cravings. So you try different things, and I'm assuming everyone has different ways of dealing with it. So cravings are inevitable. I think you need to just strengthen the resolve and say, look, once in a while is okay, but if it becomes too much, then it's not good.
But Ajay, being so sort of being devil's advocate here, in that too much is a relative term, right? So if somebody's been overindulging, like I have been for 50 years, overindulging in a period of 4 months, if you're overindulged for a month, that's not too much at all. But it's all so. I think what I personally, my view is, if you can follow all the rules and go, but don't punish yourself too much about not making it, because there's always the next year and the year after that. There's all you have to gain or lose is your own liberation for your own self from the binds of what you consider to be healthy eating.
So if I may add, Shri,
No,
like
I
Ajay
just want to
said,
add that it's better to evolve.
Go ahead, Mahesh.
Carry on, Rajesh.
Okay. So I was just saying that
Yeah.
for me,
So my point of view is that it.
So there's a lag. Mahesh, hold on. Let VP finish, then you can go.
So what I was saying is that, Shri, that's a very good question. And what worked for me was that I enjoyed in the morning the lightness that I felt, that my stomach was empty and there was, no load. And you're right that the temptations do come in the evening, especially around tea time. And for me, And the notion that, look, if I do something now, then in the morning I'll miss that wonderful feeling that I would feel. So that became the motivating factor, that if I want to feel good in the morning, then I should not do what I'm about to do. And I think that's sort of just trying to create that atmosphere around you mentally. It's all in your head, basically. So you have to win in your head that, you know, you can do this. And then the streak part helps. That if I've done it on day one, day two, then the motivation is always there to do it on day three and day four. And maybe on, you know, on day five or day six, you may not do it. But then again, you can say, okay, fine, you know, last time I kept the streak going till the fifth day, maybe let me try if I can take it longer this time. So I think those are some of the things that work for me.
Mahesh?
Yeah, another point to observe in this is better to evolve than to revolve. You know, I mean, evolution is better than revolution is what we feel. So, and if you have a craving for drinking tea or thing, take it. I mean, VP had this experience and he slowly quit tea entirely altogether. So there's nothing wrong in having cravings, nothing wrong in taking, but the mental attitude at that point is what matters. I tried meditation in the evening during Chaturmasa, and it really worked out from my perspective. I tried a bit of meditation, and it helped in stopping the cravings as well.
Yeah, and I just want to add one thing to what others have said. So, you know, one other thing you'll have to understand is that here we are also trying to test out that, you know, the the health does not necessarily mean physical health. It's physical plus mental health, right? And we all know, you know, mind is much more stronger than the body, but we don't seem to experience that quite often, especially when it comes to the matter of food. So it's just shifting the particular balance, right? And which means, you know, we got to be true to our own word. You know, if we, what BP used to call it as sankalpa, right? You know, you take a sankalpa, a determination, a quote unquote, a vow to yourself saying that, hey, I am going to stick to this regimen for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, whatever, come what may. Now, the point is, the moment we start valuing our word much more than anything else, then doesn't matter what those cravings come, then you're reminded that, okay, this word is more important. The commitment, the promise that I made to myself is more important than tasting the particular food or giving into that craving. So then you know, initially it will be a struggle, but then that shift of balance will happen towards giving into that craving late in the evening compared to the value of the word that you have. And I'll tell you, that is a very powerful way to build self-esteem for myself. You know, if I wanted somebody else to listen to what I say and you know, maybe practice or do, you know, when it talks to, let's say, children, for example, right? You know, the most important thing is, if I don't respect myself, my own word towards myself, how can I expect others to respect my word? So then became a practice to respect my own word towards myself. And that shift, once it happens, then the food doesn't hold that much power over you. You can still enjoy it, but it doesn't hold the power over you.
And if I can add one more sort of quick point here, Srinivas, is that I think the fact that we were doing it together and we were honest with each other meant that we were constantly getting ideas and you know, thoughts around how to deal with some of the challenges that, like the one you mentioned. So I think, you know, Rajesh is right that this is something that you're not doing for somebody else, you're doing it for yourself. So that's a good starting point. But also the fact that you've got other people around you who are doing it, who can encourage you and give you solutions for some challenges. I mean, we all went through our own sort of challenges and you know, unable to kind of follow certain things. But just kind of being honest and bringing it out into the group, we got the motivation and ideas to kind of keep going.
All right. I think we are way past 20 minutes past our time. So any other question? Anybody else? Okay. So thank you so much. It was wonderful to kind of get a tete-a-tete with all of you and share our experiences. So the book is out. Please buy and read it. What we try to do is we try to share, quote unquote, our diaries as much honesty as possible. And please read that. We've just edited it only for brevity's sake. So please read it, and anytime reach to any one of us, and we're happy to support you, help you to start off on your journey towards well-being. So with that, thank you so much, and look forward to the Chaturmasa 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you.